You open the page again, not to buy, but to confirm what you saw earlier. The motion is almost automatic. The tab reloads. The screen sharpens. The product image settles into place. The number does not. It's higher than it was before. You don't react immediately. You stare at it longer than you mean to. Your eyes move up and down the page as if the explanation might be hiding somewhere else. You scroll slowly, then scroll back up, retracing the layout from memory. Nothing looks different. The product name is the same. The description hasn't changed. The photo still shows the same angle, the same lighting. Your hand rests on the mouse. You don't click, you wait. You refresh once more, deliberately this time. The page reloads. The number stays exactly where it is. The stillness of it feels heavier than the change itself. It suggests finality, not fluctuation. The pause stretches. You become aware of the room around you. The quiet hum of a device, the faint pressure of sitting still longer than planned. Time feels suddenly relevant. Waiting feels like a decision, even though you haven't made one. A few minutes ago, this cost less. Now it doesn't. And nothing you consciously chose explains why. The feeling is familiar, even if you don't label it yet. You felt it while checking flights. You look in the morning, casually, just to get a sense of the price. Later that evening, when you come back with more intention, the number is higher. You assume demand changed. You assume someone else booked. The explanation feels reasonable enough to accept. You've felt it with hotels as well. Same room, same date, same photos. You step away for a while, come back later, and the rate has shifted upward. You tell yourself availability tightened. You move on. You've noticed it while shopping for ordinary things too. Electronics, clothes, household items. Sometimes the difference is small enough that you question your memory. Other times, you only realize after checking from another device or asking someone else what price they're seeing. Each moment feels isolated, easy to dismiss. But over time, the repetition becomes harder to ignore. Prices don't just change. They seem to respond. They reward immediacy and quietly penalize hesitation. Waiting doesn't always lower the cost. Comparing doesn't always protect you. Sometimes the act of coming back later feels like it carries its own price. You don't call it a pattern yet. But the uncertainty starts to linger longer than the purchase itself. From your side of the screen, nothing signals complexity. There's a product, a number, a button. No explanation appears. No notice interrupts the page. Nothing suggests that the price you're seeing is anything other than fixed. But the system behind the screen is not focused on the product alone. It observes timing. It notes repetition. It registers where the request is coming from. It tracks how long you stay, how often you return, and how quickly you hesitate. None of those actions feel intentional. They feel incidental, passive, almost invisible. But together, they accumulate. To the system, you aren't just browsing. You're signaling tolerance. The price isn't reacting to the item anymore. It's reacting to the context surrounding you. What you see reflects an estimate, not of value, but of willingness. The number settles where the system believes resistance is least likely. The interface doesn't change. The explanation never appears. Only the price moves. Once you start noticing it, the experience spreads outward. The same structure shows up across different platforms and categories. Retail shopping behaves this way. Travel booking behaves this way. Digital marketplaces repeat the pattern even when the products themselves have nothing in common. The consistency isn't in the items. It's in the behavior. Prices begin to feel less like labels and more like reactions. Checking again doesn't always bring clarity. Sometimes it removes it. The longer you wait, the less certain you become about what the real price ever was. You start wondering which number was meant to be stable. The first one you saw? The second? Or the one that will appear the next time you check? Nothing on the screen answers that question. There's no reference point to anchor to. No indication of what changed or why. Just a number that looks objective, even when it isn't. The longer this pattern exists, the more it shapes how you behave. You start noticing how often you feel rushed, even when nothing is urgent. You tell yourself to decide faster next time. You hesitate less. You compare less. You try not to leave tabs open for too long because leaving feels like a risk now. Waiting begins to feel expensive. Every return carries uncertainty. You don't know if the price will hold or move again. That uncertainty tightens the moment. It narrows the window where a decision feels safe. You become aware of how often prices seem to rise after interest is shown, not before. How the act of checking, returning, or lingering doesn't protect you. Sometimes it does the opposite. The pressure isn't loud, it's subtle. It accumulates quietly. You don't feel forced. You feel nudged toward faster decisions, toward fewer comparisons, toward accepting the number in front of you before it changes again. Over time, the cost isn't just the higher price. It's the shrinking space to pause. Eventually, this stops feeling strange. Price changes become something you expect rather than question. You stop being surprised when the number looks different later. You stop assuming prices are stable unless proven otherwise, and start assuming movement unless proven safe. You adapt quietly. You check once and act. Or you act quickly when a number feels reasonable, even if you don't know why it feels that way. You avoid leaving tabs open. You avoid coming back later. You learn without being told that hesitation often feels expensive. Over time, certainty thins out. You no longer expect a price to hold. You expect it to drift. You expect it to respond to timing, to interest, to presence. The idea of a single fixed price starts to feel outdated, almost naive. The system doesn't need to explain itself because you've already adjusted to it. You don't think in terms of personalization or conditions. You think in terms of luck, timing, and catching a number before it changes. This becomes normal shopping behavior. The quiet part is how little this feels like a choice. There's no moment of agreement, no point of consent. The adjustment happens through repetition until uncertainty feels ordinary and stability feels temporary. And once it feels normal, it stops being questioned. At some point, the discomfort settles into recognition. The price you see isn't just about supply or demand in the abstract. It's shaped by how you arrive at it, by when you check, by where you're checking from, by how the system interprets your behavior. The number isn't neutral. It looks objective, it looks fixed, but it's conditional. What changes isn't just the price. It's your understanding of what that price represents. It stops feeling like a single truth and starts feeling like one version among many. You realize that two people looking at the same product at the same time might not see the same number. And nothing on the screen would tell either of them that. The certainty you thought existed was never guaranteed. It was assumed. And that assumption quietly shaped how much you paid. The page still looks simple. A product, a number, a button. Nothing about the design suggests negotiation or personalization. Nothing tells you that context matters, or that timing matters, or that behavior matters. The system doesn't need to announce itself. It already works without explanation. The price appears, you decide, or you wait, and the number responds, not to the product alone, but to you.